Okay, man. Okay, man. I want to do one of my operated assisted calls here. Now, sorry about all that if you're sorry with happening. It's been a long day. I've had some things I've had to do. Um, but, the level that I'm on with, it's just grown up to grown up, that I'm coming from a very difficult vantage point because I've been a scavenger in the realm of scholastics, looking for peer review when I haven't, but recently graduated from college. So it's a difficult task. And I've also been subject to illicit taskmasters in a police state that's an invisible empire, where things just constantly go wrong because they've masterminded me as a social jinx, and it's in their wardrobe to pull a bunch of pranks. And I want to get to that. But I live in Tacoma. In Tacoma, somebody after I got some um, diagnostic news that made me feel deeply mortal. Somebody got on the elevator with me, said, "I like Tacoma, I like Tacoma, I hate Tacoma." T-shirt. It was too much. It made me bawl. The things that go on here, we got the wounded veterans around. And when you see it, like one thing you don't want to get is knocked around the head to agree with the cause where they were wounded prematurely when you don't really understand the issue. And there's a lot of hardheads who aren't wounded veterans who lean on you to do just that. But when you see what they've lost and how magnanimous they are and how contributing to the community ethic they are, you want to help them. And I'm not trying to talk about them because I know that always runs afoul of somebody. What I want to do is draw a comparison with the Earth. The Earth is a wounded warrior too. Martha Gellhorn, who had seen lots of combat veterans, lots of army hospitals, lots of wounded veterans, as well as a lot of casualties, mortal wounds, said the human body is quite remarkable. It can recover from just about anything if given half a chance. And what the climate change movement is pleading with people to do is to give Mother Earth half a chance. We're in the grip of a mass extinction. Some of these things can rebound if given half a chance. Now, my contribution to this has always been deflected by the utility model that I was chosen for. And I want to go into that a little bit. I was reading one of the climate change activists from Mexico who quoted Donald Trump as saying, climate change is a fib manufactured by the Chinese and a plot to reroute the wealth from the rich to the poor. Okay, the first thing you think when you hear that is he says the most convenient lie that he can think of and has people cheering because he has the right to lie. He's the president of perjury. But beneath the surface, it's not just denial, it's more sophisticated than that. I think we all realize that it's not just denial, it's more sophisticated than that. They short circuit the notions to denial, but the actual content of what's going on is more sophisticated. There's some truth that when you believe that the earth was designed to make human life successful and prosperous and knowledge widespread and capability and health universal. And sympathy for the afflicted, addressed by groups that are professionally trained and capable. Um, you do mean to say that China, North Korea, Iran are included in the world, and we're trying to take care of the world by coming to terms with one another. So, um, the oligarch system, the billionaire system, the money bag system is really very simple. It's take everything for the small group of people and cut everyone else off. And their idea of social equity is to get rid of the weak by any means necessary and so on. We've seen all this. We've been through Hitler and the Native Americans, and there's all this Europhobia. Oh, the Europeans are like this and that. The two are right in European. The Antichrist white. It's Europhobia. The Europeans have done a lot of resourceful um, allocating of resources and sustainable creations of enterprises like Doctors Without Borders and the United Nations. Europeans too can rebound from being wounded warriors if given half a chance. But their own greed and the Europhobia that attends us compromises or um, hard work for hope. So, what I want to do is talk about what I'm about, where my research fits in, because I was deflected. That's the only way. If you look at my articles in the Pet News, you can see that I was trying to make a statement. This is what I have been trying to do culturally, which is ecology, and limn the storyline that was surrounding me and engulfing me. Like the short story I sent to the British and to Harper's Magazine and to the administration of Pitt, which was chasing an echo, which describes what was happening. There was a whisper campaign, and I was trying to come to terms with it. Of course, they were behind the whisper campaign. I didn't realize that. So it was a complicated scenario. I was a 1 in a million trophy object. This is what they'll do to you, as Trump is saying. By example, you don't want to be like Query. So, that's what the Chinese, that's what the blacks will do to you. And, they knew the strings to pull to make it even seem to me that I was in a society that has come unhinged so totally that it's gruesome. Well, take wheel back to um, the issues that arose during the Angry Father movement of the 80s that gave rise to my awareness of access sensibilities in Hollywood and the damage that Hollywood has done to the newspaper industry, to public education, to our Commonwealth, to children's expectations, to perceptions about the future. Damage, 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 damage. Hollywood, 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 Hollywood. Lie, 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 lie. To the early progenitors of the research field of the deluge that they've been planning, the fossil fuel industry, the auto industry, and the misattribution by Texas school book script to yours truly and various other things that have gone on. Takes you back to the 20s and Blas Sanders. Now, Blas Sanders is a complicated man, and he was a literature giant in the margins. Giant because he was influential in very important circles like Cubism and Hollywood, but virtually invisible in terms of being an intellectual to the mainstream. So more people have heard of Henry Miller, who he knew. So what he did was multifaceted. For one thing, Hollywood and its tropes and its templates and so forth often rhapsodizes to the effect that they're after truths, quote truths, not facts. Like Amadeus was about the truth of Black meaning discovery in the New Testament for the slaves that gave them strength of character to resist. There were some factual inaccuracies, but the larger truth came through. Some skeptical people say that it's plastic reality, and when you start allowing for facts to avoid fact checkers, you're getting subtly brainwashed. Blas Santos was a very innovative man. He would use his own name to create fiction people, spread around the facts of his life through different personages, borrow text from other writers. He did a lot of things that were very capable and also things that were very sly. Like that wasn't his original name. He changed his name. Blas Sanders actually means the fire from the ashes. It means phoenix. So the bringing back of from the dead, the Houdini, the Lazarus, the friendly ghost of Hitler and Lenin that they fused and called Casper, has been in the works. Now, there was a namesake of Charles Bronson in Dealey Plaza who made a film of the Kennedy assassination, and Charles Bronson comes out with a film called The Mechanic. Even then, people didn't point out that there was a namesake in Dealey Plaza, which they should have. Oswald was the namesake of Oswald Mosley, the leader of the British Union of Fascists. This was central to what was going on. J. Um, J. W. Thompson was you could go JWT org history and find out the middle name that keeps slipping my memory. I'm getting old. So, and they could cost me to use gas on me. There's no telling what's going to happen to my brain, my memory. Yeah, in fact, my father's personality changes may have been, they poisoned him in the end. When you look at Chris Robertson, who was involved in 911 and the Kennedy assassination, who's played JFK, he was the nabob from the woods of fiction who played JFK in PT-109 and grabbed his persona and his identity, was on The Outer Limits, you know, in the premiere episode that was delayed for Kennedy's state funeral. We now take control of your television sets. Those are the kind of people who would do drops of things and secretly in drinks and stuff. 50s James Bond villains masquerading as James Bond heroes. I mean, this is sort of stuff that Hollywood needs to be put in check. That's my bottom line. The script involves the Mancini's, Henry Mancini, shot in the dark. All of that was indexed to this stuff. But um, J.W. Thompson was involved in a lot of things, advertisement firm. The rehabilitated Pinochet was doing things with radio. The president did the announcement of War of the Worlds that famously got people to believe that we were being invaded over the radio. Fabrications, hysteria. J.W. Thompson had a man named Stephen King working for him, and they go, oh, but that's not the famous Stephen King, but in a way it was. Stephen King was in on all of this, so was George Takei, and so was Dan Rather. The idea that they would have a persona, what they call auto fiction. If you look at the script, they kidnapped me and tortured me and then said, oh, your representations of reality aren't the ones we want. It's auto fiction. Well, auto fiction, it's like autobiographical fiction, and this are persona indicators. And of course, the denial just short circuits and makes it like a joke, but it's much more sophisticated than that. You really do need to read Blas Sanders to see what sort of concept of invisible agency operating from the fourth dimension. Hollywood was working. These people call themselves warriors, warriors. Nothing could be further from the truth. They're poachers, plain and simple. There's nothing more to them than that. Some of them claim to represent blacks, but they're in the pockets of people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They're absolutely in the pockets. Hollywood, the people who pack the money away for films that represent black advancement are selling the idea. You don't want to be like the Chinese. You don't want to fall in with the lobby that has compassion and concern. You want to get ahead. There's somebody in the Courier who was black who said the whole idea of ecology was invented by the white man to cut black people out of auto jobs in Detroit. The black gangs that get on mass transit make you wonder what would happen if we um, made the leap over to mass transit and worker ownership in Detroit. But we should do it. We're all responsible to work together. I'm not promoting anything but the standard line when it comes to black advancement. We're all part of the community. We all need to have equal access. We all need to be treated fairly. Black people are wounded warriors. They will rebound from everything that has been done to them if given half a chance. They're part of the earth. They need to be given half a chance to rebound and find themselves. This network is confusing. It's not an easy thing to come to grips with. I don't blame anyone for their disbelief, their skepticism, or their sense of humor about what has happened. But I think it's important to get to the bottom of it. D.W. Griffith was meeting with Luigi Freddi, a friend of Benito Mussolini's son. These people were working with Spassky, who was influential over David Bowie. David Bowie could pick and choose any black celebrity he wanted and advance them. And so it's the Euro royalism that you see in the film Diva, advancing Euro royalist black billionaires. Let them, a black oligarch, help run the arc. This is what I mean when I say they're poachers. What we need to do is enjoy that we've learned so much that we have learned. Appreciate that we have access to each other's knowledge banks in an unprecedented way worldwide, and start funding eco schools, worker management cooperatives, mass transit, Doctors Without Borders. Listen to one another. The president of Belarus is not an idiot. He's not a militant. He's a dignified, very smart man. He may be part of the Angry Fathers Network. But if you get an accurate assessment of these men, rather than fall in with the boogie monster view, you can start negotiating the differences and accept the tragedies that come with responsibility. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, no to war, yes to healthcare and education, no to war, yes to eco schools and ecology, no to war, yes to climate change activism, no to war, no to fossil fuels. And the fossil fuel industry is driving the wars. The auto industry of Henry Ford was not only given a high award from Germany by Nazi leaders, including Adolf Hitler, who admired Henry Ford, even though he employed black people, which is an important thing to understand about the fossil fuel movement. They are equally opportunities employers. Their mission of automobile loans for all American families developed with the first war loans of World War I. This whole mechanism of biting the apple of the earth and never letting go comes from a psychotic idea of just gunning the motors because you have privacy in a family car, right? You don't have to deal with people who are so oppressed that they talk to themselves on the bus. You don't have to have access to people who may rub you the wrong way. tolerance and learning about one another. Mass transit is a system of cultural competence. You learn cultural competence from mass transit. The people are on the level. They've experienced people, the drivers, the people who work there, and most of the passengers are experienced, intelligent, meaningful people. It's nothing to be afraid of. No car. Echo schools. No to war. Yes to the climate change movement.